Now this question's a pretty cool one, and it gives us some neat opportunities to show you a couple of things that you could do both on your graphing calculator as well as in Desmos. So first off, we can see we're talking about volume, and they're talking about a pipe here, which they don't explicitly say the shape of it, but you can probably imagine it's cylindrical. So I'm going to try to draw a cylinder here. Please don't judge me. Not the best at doing these kinds of sketches. But they say that one part of the pipe has a radius of 3 centimeters, and then the length is 11 centimeters. Now it's being replaced by a pipe, which you can see has a larger radius, but the same length. So I'm just going to make the circular part a little bit bigger, but try to keep the length looking the same. Obviously, it doesn't have to be to scale. As long as we get the numbers right, that's what matters. So 4 centimeters and then the same length, in other words, 11 centimeters. Now it says the new pipe, the larger one, can hold this much more in cubic centimeters. So in other words, when we subtract the volume of this second one minus the volume of the first one, the smaller one, the difference between them is going to be W pi. So obviously that begs the question, well, what's the volume formula for a cylinder? And we can go to the reference document here and see that for a cylinder, it's pi r squared h. So let's go ahead and type this in here, or fill everything in, I should say. So pi r, with the radius of this larger one being 4, squared h, minus the other volume, so pi r squared h, is equal to W pi. So we can go ahead and type this in if we want. You could do some of this probably in your head, but here's something important. Because of the fact that this is pi, I really don't want to type in the pi, because let's type everything in and I'll show you why. So let's go ahead and type it in, minus this right here, and notice I get 77. Okay, so it's kind of like if I said, well, what if I have 5x minus 2x? Well, it's 3x. Same thing here. I have whatever pi this is minus whatever pi this is. It's going to be equal to 77 pi. And on the right side, we have W pi. So we could get W by itself by dividing both sides by pi. And I get my answer is 77. And we could absolutely call it there. However, something that I think is pretty neat is we could actually do this in Desmos. And I just want you to be aware of how we could do it. So when we go into Desmos, we can type in this exact formula. Now I can do pi to get pi, which is a nice shortcut to be aware of. I'll type everything else that we had here, minus pi 3 squared. So I put it on my scrap paper here so I wouldn't forget. And then notice I'm going to put equals just x pi instead of W pi. And now I can go ahead and look here, zoom out a bit. Oh, I see this vertical line. In other words, x equals, so it's giving me the solution. I click anywhere here. All that matters is the x coordinate. Notice it's 77 all the way. So regardless of how we approach it with our calculator / by hand or using Desmos, we get 77.